Could the empty eye sockets of a skull hold secrets that transcend the boundaries of time, society, and even morality? An unsettling question that compels us to look beyond the surface into a world of skull worship, a practice shrouded in mysticism, cultural beliefs, and sometimes dark traditions. This captivating yet disturbing ritual knows no geographical limits, echoing from ancient civilizations to modern subcultures. What drives individuals to honor the skull, an object so intrinsically tied to death and decay? This video today may not offer conclusive answers, but will shed light on the intricate pathways where skulls become objects of veneration. The practice of skull worship has a long history, evidenced by compelling artifacts that are of significant interest to scholars and researchers. Caves, long-forgotten burial grounds, and ancient ritual sites often house carved skulls and totemic structures featuring the human skull. One standout archaeological site contributing to this dialogue is Gobekli Tepe in southeastern Turkey. Here, T-shaped stone pillars decorated with various animal figures also bear intricate carvings of skulls. These artifacts date back to the late Epipaleolithic period, around the 10th millennium BCE, suggesting that the practice has ancient origins predating organized religion and perhaps even agriculture. The intrigue surrounding skull worship gains further validation when examining some of the earliest documented records. Sumerian texts and artwork often depict deities and high-ranking figures in close association with skulls, hinting at a ritualistic or spiritual significance. In ancient Egypt, the frequent appearance of skull imagery in tomb paintings and funerary texts may indicate more than just anatomical reference. For instance, the image of the Sumerian goddess Ninhursag holding a skull found etched in stone serves as a poignant example. She is often viewed as a mother figure and a nurturer. Her association with the skull adds a layer of complexity to the practice, signaling that skull worship might be interwoven with religious or mythological beliefs that go beyond simple veneration. Do you wonder what hidden rituals and sacred meanings are enshrined in these ancient practices of skull worship? The secrets await. In the ancient Mayan civilization, skull worship found expression in both architectural and ceremonial practices, most notably through the tzompantli, or skull racks. These towering structures were usually located in central ceremonial areas where they held a place of prominence. The skulls displayed were often from sacrificial victims or defeated enemies, and they were not merely war trophies. According to Mayan belief, the skulls had spiritual properties and were thought to serve as a conduit for connecting with the divine. They were integrated into religious rituals, seasonal celebrations, and even astrological events. The skulls were believed to carry potent energy that could invoke gods or ancestral spirits, thereby strengthening the bridge between earthly existence and the ethereal realms. In Celtic societies, on the other hand, skull worship held significant cultural and religious importance, particularly within the mysterious world of Druidic practices. For the Druids, who were the spiritual leaders in these communities, skulls were considered sacred objects. According to Celtic beliefs, the skull was seen as the seat of the soul and the vessel of life force. Often, these skulls were of ancestors or warriors vanquished in battle. Kept in places of reverence or used in ceremonial contexts, they were believed to retain the wisdom and power of the departed. This veneration was thought to bring spiritual protection and guidance, making skulls an integral part of Druid rituals and ceremonies. And among Native American tribes, skull worship was far from monolithic, exhibiting a rich diversity in beliefs and practices. For example, the Comanche tribe held the buffalo skull in high regard, interpreting it as a symbol of the cyclical nature of life and death. These skulls were often placed in ceremonial sites and used in rituals that celebrated the natural world. In contrast, tribes such as the Plains Indians revered the eagle skull. Considered a messenger from the spiritual realm, the eagle skull was used in ceremonies to invoke blessings, spiritual guidance, and clarity of vision. The diversity among tribal practices highlights how the symbol of the skull could be adapted to fit different spiritual narratives and ritualistic needs, making it a versatile and potent element within Native American spirituality. In ancient India, skull worship took on a dramatically different form, particularly among the Aghoris sects. These practitioners defied social norms, performing rituals that would be considered taboo in mainstream Indian society. The use of human skulls, or kapalas, was central to their ritualistic practices. Far from being a morbid object, the kapala was viewed as a symbol of renunciation and spiritual transcendence. In tantric practices, kapalas were used for offerings to deities and as tools for meditation. They were believed to have the power to invoke divine energies and help practitioners transcend the cycle of life and death. This unique form of skull worship showcases the Aghoris' radical spiritual philosophy, challenging conventional perspectives on purity, life, and death. The symbolism associated with skulls in different cultures explores profound philosophical and existential ideas. One of the most poignant is the notion of mortality. The devoid of flesh on the head acts as a sobering reminder of how fleeting life is. It represents the inevitable destiny that awaits all living beings, making it a potent symbol for contemplation and spiritual awakening. In many cultures, this aspect is not seen as macabre, but rather as an impetus to appreciate the impermanence of life and to strive for a deeper understanding of existence. Equally significant is the skull's role as a spiritual emblem. Often considered the seat of the soul or the hub of life force, the skull is believed to contain an intrinsic spiritual energy. Whether it's the Mayan Tzompantli or the Celtic Druidic rituals, skulls act as conduits, bridging the physical and spiritual worlds. They are incorporated into religious practices with the belief that they can channel divine or ancestral energies, thereby serving as a spiritual gateway. And it has been employed as a symbol of power and conquest. Particularly in war-centric societies or tribes, skulls of defeated enemies were displayed as trophies, serving not just as a mark of victory, but also as a psychological tool. However, it's crucial to note that even in these contexts, the meaning is often multi-layered, combining aspects of spiritualism, reverence, and worldly power, making the skull a complex and multifaceted symbol in human history. When it comes to ritualistic practices involving skull worship, the type of skull employed, whether animal or human, varies significantly across different cultures and belief systems. Animal skulls, such as those of buffaloes or eagles, are common in Native American spiritual practices. These skulls are believed to embody the essence of the animal, granting specific blessings or protections to the tribe. Human skulls, on the other hand, hold a particular gravitas in civilizations like the Mayans or sects like the Aghoris. These skulls often come from sacrificial ceremonies or battlegrounds and are considered powerful conduits for divine energies. The diversity of ceremonial practices involving skulls is vast. For instance, some traditions feature skulls displayed prominently to honor deities and ancestral spirits, while others use them in meditative rites and offerings. Each approach is rooted in its own unique set of beliefs and goals, such as spiritual enlightenment, divine connection, or ancestral invocation. When it comes to preserving these significant objects, the methods employed can be complex or straightforward. In some cultures where the skull holds sacred status, intricate procedures prepare it for ritual use. These could include carving, decoration, or a series of purification rituals. Conversely, some traditions allow skulls to naturally decay in the elements before undergoing a ritualistic cleansing with smoke or natural materials like feathers and leather. The preservation techniques contribute additional layers of meaning, further elevating the significance of the skull in diverse worship practices. You've heard about their role in various rites and rituals, but have you ever paused to ponder how these skulls are obtained? This is where the darker aspects come into play, revealing a complex interplay of violence, secrecy, and taboo. Imagine a clandestine operation executed under the cloak of night, where individuals engage in grave robbing, prying open coffins to extract the bones they seek. The skulls they collect are not mere relics, but crucial components for elaborate rituals meant to bridge the gap between earthly existence and otherworldly powers. And it doesn't stop at graveyards. In some practices, the pursuit of spiritual potency calls for fresh skulls, acquired through skirmishes and conflicts. Battles are waged, lives are taken, and heads are severed, not just as an act of victory, but as a grim form of spiritual procurement. These newly acquired skulls serve as both tribute and talisman, believed to harness an even more potent energy than those taken from the already departed. Through the lens of these practices, it's evident that the quest for spiritual enlightenment can sometimes tread a dark and perilous path. This peculiar custom isn't limited to native or age-old spiritual frameworks. It is also echoed in prominent global faiths. In Christianity, the veneration of skulls primarily centers around the relics of saints. These skulls, often elaborately encased in reliquaries, attract pilgrimages and offer a touchpoint for divine intercession. In Catholic and Orthodox traditions, the faithful believe these relics serve as a spiritual bridge, linking the earthly to the heavenly. Within Tibetan Buddhism, Kapalas play a significant role, especially in tantric rituals. Carved from human skulls and often adorned with precious metals or gemstones, kapalas are used in rites that aim to invoke deities or facilitate deep meditative states. In this context, kapalas symbolize life's impermanence and the transcendence of human ego. In animistic cultures, skulls hold a different form of spiritual currency. These are considered not merely objects but vessels containing life force or spirit. The belief that skulls can house spirits leads to their veneration in rituals aimed at bringing good fortune or protection. Here, animal and occasionally human skulls are treated with a reverence that stems from their perceived spiritual potency. Skull worship is found all over the world and has been around for a long time. Different cultures and religions have their own ways of using skulls in rituals. Some see the skull as a way to connect with God or spirits, while others use it as a reminder that life is short.